But it did happen, and end with a killer running around and Gavin needing all of your attention. We can't do this. Oh, I wanted to slap myself silly for saying it. But it was the truth, and it needed to be said. We can't let ourselves get distracted. We have to put your son first. Liar, a voice in the back of my mind said with a sneer. You're terrified and are grasping for a reason to push this fine specimen of a man away. He turned away from me and watched an ant carry a leaf across the shop's front step before saying, Okay. But we're still calling Hank. We're still handing these notes over to him. Fine, I snapped, even though agreeing to pretend our kiss hadn't nearly set the sky on fire felt anything but fine. I was upset and embarrassed and ready to stomp my feet like a bratty child. But since it was my idea, my stupid idea, to forget about the kiss, I had no choice but to pretend I was happy he didn't argue with me about it. And like that, everything was awkward again. Have you heard about what happened this morning? Ethel Crump asked loudly as she held court at a table in the center of the shop later that morning. I froze. Had someone watched as Harley and I kissed this morning? Oh, I can hardly contain myself. I heard it from a friend who heard it from a friend, Ethel continued. My heart pounded in my throat. If she said what I was afraid she was going to say, I would die of embarrassment right here, right next to the coffee urn. No one is supposed to know, Ethel said. I breathed a mini sigh of relief. She wouldn't say that if she was about to out Harley and I for kissing while standing in the street, would she? If she wasn't talking about my love life, did that mean she was talking about the other thing that had happened this morning? Chief Bird and Harley had both reluctantly agreed that we should keep the 2 threatening letters to ourselves, and though it pained me to do so, I hadn't even told Bertie or Althea about them. If Ethel knew about the notes, her source for her gossip would have to be someone who had either written that I had a pointy nose or had threatened to make sure I died a horrible death. I still wasn't sure which bothered me more. Bird and Harley had agreed that the handwriting looked too different to have been penned by the same hand, which meant I'd prickled the nerves of at least 2 of Cassidy's victims with my questions. You didn't hear it from me, Ethel warned. Just spit it out already, one of her friends shouted. Tourists and locals alike had crowded into the shop to indulge in mocha coffees and the chocolate pastries we had shipped in from a Charleston bakery. According to Bertie, the chocolate box had long been a popular spot on Sundays after church. The Islanders lived on gossip, and Sunday seemed to be the best day for those who worked full-time to catch up on the latest dirt. About a dozen residents, men and women alike, had pulled chairs from neighboring tables so they could sit near Ethel and hear her talk. No one spoke. It seemed as if no one breathed as they waited to hear the news Ethel could barely contain. I used my nervous energy to rub down one of the tables by the door while pretending I wasn't listening. I felt as if I was trembling from the inside out. The older woman was a natural-born storyteller. In the thundering silence, Ethel drew a shaky breath. Her roaming gaze went from person to person. It felt as if her rheumy eyes lingered on mine for the longest. Get this. Luella Marie Banks is going to start filming a new movie next month, and this one is already getting Oscar buzz, Ethel announced finally to the delighted gasps of those in her audience. Who is doing what? I asked, a bit more brusquely than I'd intended. Everyone in the shop turned to gape at me. I tried not to squirm. Who is Luella Marie Banks? I'd gentled my voice and no longer sounded like Stella when she was barking at anyone who dared come into the apartment. I've never heard of her. You haven't? Johnny Payne cried from his perch on his ladder. His paintbrush moved carefully over the ceiling. covering up the